Have you seen the Mike Tyson
He's
video?
like 65.
Mike Tyson's coming back.
What?
Yes. You haven't seen? Dude.
No.
Okay. Go to Mike Tyson's page for his most recent video on his Instagram. Get ready for this.
Oh, really?
Get ready for this, because he looks f***ing sensational. He looks f***ing incredible.
Really?
Terrifying. Dude,
He was so terrible. Was there anything more exciting than his fights?
They were a cultural event.
Oh, my God.
Joe Rogan recently weighed in on a new training video showing Mike Tyson in brutal form, sparring at age 58. The footage shows Tyson hitting with power and intensity that stunned even Rogan, known for his extensive knowledge and experience in martial arts and boxing. In the clip, Tyson nearly knocked out his trainer with a combination of punches that left viewers and boxing experts astounded, with some even describing it as a near miss with devastating consequences. Joe Rogan, a seasoned UFC commentator and former kickboxer, expressed both shock and awe after watching the video. In his podcast, Rogan remarked that watching Mike Tyson hit pads at 58 years old and seeing the power he still has was mind-blowing. He said that Tyson nearly took his trainer's head off with those punches. It's like watching a lion in his prime, but Tyson's nearly 60.
Look at this.
Right.
You needed volume so you can hear this too.
Whoa.
I mean, what in the f***, dude?
Oh, my God.
Dude, he looks like old.
Rogan went on to discuss how Tyson's technique and power remain incredibly refined, even after years away from the peak of his professional career. He pointed out the physical conditioning Tyson maintains, noting that many fighters at his age might not be able to keep up with such intensity, let alone showcase that much raw power. Rogan also observed that the video serves as a reminder of Tyson's legendary reputation for being one of the most dangerous punchers in boxing history. Tyson's latest training footage isn't just about nostalgia, it's relevant to his upcoming match with Jake Paul, the YouTube star turned boxer who has been making waves with his recent fight record. For Paul, who is much younger and in his prime, the video likely served as a wake-up call. While he may have taken fights against other former fighters, Tyson's level of skill and sheer force pose a unique challenge. Rogan discussed the dynamic between Tyson and Paul, expressing concern that Jake Paul might be underestimating what Tyson is capable of in the ring. Rogan said that Jake's in for a different kind of fight here. Tyson at 58 still has enough power to turn off the lights with one punch. He said that he's not a YouTuber in gloves. He's a predator who's been doing this since he was a teenager.
What's really funny,
Oh, my God.
He said on the podcast when he was in here, he said he didn't want to work out again because his ego would get fired up again.
Uh-huh.
And he's actually said that in his post, that my ego had been reignited.
Mike Tyson appears primed to rewind the years. The 58-year-old shared a training video on social media where one of his coaches praised his impressive condition as he gears up to take on Paul, who is 31 years his junior.
Movement's great, agility is great.
13, 14, breathe.
Conditioning is amazing, power is unbelievable.
Nice one.
That was the best we've seen him yet. It's gonna be a rough night.
While the excitement is building, Rogan also expressed concern for Tyson's health and well-being. Training with such intensity and force at 58 isn't without risk, especially given Tyson's history of injuries and the wear and tear that comes with decades in combat sports. Tyson has expressed that boxing is more than just a sport for him. It's part of who he is. This drive, however, can sometimes push athletes past their limits, and that's a worry Rogan didn't shy away from.
He's beating former UFC world champions like Tyron Woodley. You know, he had that very good fight with Tommy Fury, who's a legitimate boxer, you know, which was a very good fight. You know, he just beat up Mike Perry, who's a bare knuckle champion. I mean, he's a real fighter. He can fight. He can, and if Mike Tyson and him are fighting and Mike can't catch him, and Mike has bad knees, if his back's bad. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him physically. It's hard to tell from a guy just hitting pads. When he's hitting those pads, he looks great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if he can do that, if he can actually do that for 8 rounds or 10 rounds, however when this fight is?
Well, that's going to be the key, isn't
Yeah.
The highly anticipated clash between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul has stirred up significant buzz among fans and analysts. While many are rallying behind the problem child, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier has issued a stern warning. Iron Mike could be the force that ends Paul's meteoric boxing rise in dramatic fashion. Excitement is mounting for the much-anticipated showdown between the legendary fighter and the social media sensation-turned boxer, promising an unforgettable event on November 15th at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. While Tyson's status as a boxing icon is well established, questions remain regarding his physical condition and his ability to face an adversary nearly 30 years his junior. Nearly 2 decades after his last professional fight, Tyson is a shadow of the powerhouse he once was. The matchup, originally scheduled for July 20th, has been postponed due to a flare-up of a stomach ulcer he's been battling. In light of this, Cormier warned that Paul could have the most to lose. The former UFC heavyweight champion emphasized that if Paul wins, Tyson's legacy remains secure. However, a win for Tyson could create significant challenges for Paul's future in the sport. According to commentator Joe Rogan on a recent edition of the podcast Funky and the Champ, Iron Mike can still send Paul's head to another dimension at the age of 58. Cormier partially agreed, saying, "I understand that, and I get what he's saying, and I do agree when he's hitting pads. It looks like there's still something left in there." However, he also pointed to Paul's fight against Mike Perry, who replaced Tyson in the postponed July bout. He said, "But then I watched Jake Paul fight Mike Perry. I watched Jake Paul get pressed to the point where he starts to feel uncomfortable, and it looked like Mike Perry had a chance. But then Jake has a reserve tank to draw from. He's 28 years old." Cormier added, "That is my concern, because what if this looks like a 58-year-old man fighting a 28-year-old man, where Mike can't dig deep? I think it's a lose-lose for Jake Paul, because if you beat up Mike Tyson, everyone loves Mike Tyson. But what would happen if Mike wins?" Cormier, I wondered. Cormier emphasized that Tyson is not financially reliant on this match, and made predictions about what might happen if the legendary boxer were to knock Paul out. He added, "What if Mike knocks him out though? Then it's over. Everything's done. It would be an all-time backfire. Nothing like that has ever happened in the history of the sport." Paul, with an impressive tally of 8 wins and a single loss, has secured victories in his last 4 bouts after suffering a setback against Tommy Fury in 2023. However, a defeat to 58-year-old Tyson could jeopardize the hard-earned reputation he's built by taking on tougher challengers rather than just fellow influencers. If Tyson emerges victorious, Paul may find himself right back at square one, facing uncertainty about his ability to bounce back. A former sparring partner of Iron Mike has expressed skepticism about the much-anticipated boxing clash between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, implying it may merely resemble a glorified sparring session. Despite worries surrounding Tyson's health, especially following a postponement caused by a flare-up of an ulcer affecting the 58-year-old, some still believe he could defy the odds and achieve an unexpected triumph against the up-and-coming star Paul. Among the skeptics is Joe Rogans, a former sparring partner of Tyson, who questioned whether Mike was genuinely willing to give it his all, concerned that he might seriously injure the problem child. Rogans cautioned TalkSport that the upcoming match would resemble a glorified sparring session. He also noted that Tyson had once floored Roy Jones Jr. with a powerful body shot during their encounter in the ring back in 2020. Rogans explained, "Mike knew he could hurt Roy Jones. Anybody that Mike hits is going to hurt, probably knock out as well, but he carried Roy Jones. I never believed Mike Tyson could carry anybody because when I sparred him at Catskill, every punch he threw was with bad intentions. He was a vicious, ferocious, savage heavyweight. To see him mellow with age is wonderful, and to see what he did with Roy Jones is incredible." Jake Paul, who knocked out former NBA player Nate Robinson that night, attributes his confidence to Tyson's usage of strikes. "You've got to admire him for getting in the ring with Mike Tyson, but I don't think Mike will go full force on him. I don't believe that, because if Mike went full force on Jake Paul, he could seriously hurt him, never mind about the age. Mike will have lost a lot of speed with age, but he won't have lost his power," the insider claimed. Initially, many speculated that the two would compete in an exhibition match due to their striking 31-year age gap. However, it has now been officially designated as a professional heavyweight contest, authorized by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. This means that knockouts are allowed, though Rogans, who spent 2 years training alongside a young Tyson at the legendary Catskills boxing gym under Cus D'Amato, doesn't foresee that being necessary. Instead, the former heavyweight champion anticipates that the bout will resemble an enhanced sparring match, similar to Tyson's recent encounter with Roy Jones Jr. He added, "Jake Paul has probably boxed as Mike Tyson on Nintendo and Game Boy a million times, and now he's getting to share the ring with one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. For me, it's going to be a glorified sparring session. When Mike boxed Roy Jones Jr., he hit Roy with a body shot and sunk him, and Mike knew he could hurt Roy Jones." The YouTuber, who who had turned boxer, received a severe warning from Egan after that. He said, "The power is always going to be there, but the speed will diminish. I did a video for Jake, and I said, listen, Jake, enjoy the occasion. You've got millions of YouTube fans that will watch you get into the ring with one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time, but don't try to turn it on, because if you try to turn it on, Mike Tyson will turn you off." While Paul versus Tyson is officially a professional boxing match, the format will see some notable adjustments. The fight is scheduled for 8 rounds, each lasting just 2 minutes, as opposed to the customary 3-minute rounds. Moreover, both competitors will wear 14-ounce gloves, which are considerably heavier than the standard 10-ounce gloves typically used in the sport. Joseph Parker, the former WBO world champion, recently discussed the upcoming match with Fight Hub, expressing that the considerable age gap might render the fight difficult to watch. Parker shared his perspective on the anticipated matchup between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, emphasizing his appreciation for boxing and major events. However, he raised concerns about Tyson's age, noting that at 58, he is considerably past the prime of a fighter. While acknowledging Tyson's legendary reputation and past ferocity, Parker pointed out that Jake Paul possesses the advantage of youth and continues to hone his skills with every bout, which complicates the idea of such a contest. He speculated that if Tyson were to deliver a knockout to Paul, it might reinforce the idea that punching power tends to endure, yet he questioned just how much power Tyson still retains at this stage in his career. Additionally, Parker remarked that while Tyson's short training clips may seem impressive, they fail to capture the full context, leaving the match's potential outcome shrouded in uncertainty.
Listen, I'm all for boxing and all for big fights, but Mike Tyson is a legend, and no matter how great he was in the past with the ferocious style that he had and punches that he thrown and knocking everyone out, 58 years old is old for a fighter. And Jake Paul has the youth on the side, and with each fight he is getting better and better. So it's just, I think it's a hard fight to watch. It will be a hard fight to watch because you just don't want to see Mike. If Mike comes out and knocks him out, then we're going to be like, listen, he's, so the power, I think, is the last thing to go. But at 58 years old, how much power is left? And we do see short clips, but you're right, we're not sure what happens before and after those clips. Yeah. So we'll see.
At this point in his boxing career, Mike Tyson has firmly established his prowess, making his highly anticipated match against Jake Paul more about spectacle than self-validation. While Tyson remains committed to his training, he has embraced a more playful approach in the gym. In a recent episode of the Impulsive podcast with Jake's brother, Logan Paul, Tyson opened up about his workout routine and revealed an unexpected twist: the inclusion of psilocybin mushrooms. "I have to take them when I train. I always train with my mushrooms," Tyson said. When asked why he used psychedelics before working out diligently, Tyson provided an honest response. "I train on mushrooms because I feel beautiful. It takes me to heaven, baby," he stated plainly. Tyson's reflections on his psychedelic experiences are not new. In 2021, he candidly discussed his encounters with the psychoactive properties of Sonoran desert toad venom. He told the New York Post, "In my trips, I've seen that death is beautiful. Life and death both have to be beautiful, but death has a bad rep. The toad has taught me that I'm not going to be here forever. There's an expiration date." Regarding his pivotal bout with Jake Paul, Tyson did not rule out the possibility that he had some psilocybin in his system. "Maybe," he said when asked if he'd be on mushrooms during the fight. Tyson said, "If I'm not on mushrooms, but I'll be on the residual effects of mushrooms." Iron Mike shows no signs of slowing down. With unwavering determination, he's preparing to step into the ring against Jake Paul, who is less than half his age. Tyson's last fights took place more than 20 years ago, culminating in losses to heavyweight rivals that, in his heyday, he would have likely dispatched with relative ease. While harboring aspirations of contending for a world championship, the YouTuber-turned-fighter seems more focused on chasing the biggest and most lucrative events in the arena. During his appearance on Impulsive, Tyson exuded confidence in his ability to overcome Paul, hinting at the possibility of a rematch following their first encounter. He said, "There is no patty cake going on out there. This is what's going to happen. 2 men are going to fight, somebody is going to win. They might fight again, and then they go to their separate banks and life goes on." Paul took another shot at Tyron Woodley after their first match, in which he triumphed by decision. This time, however, he delivered a decisive knockout. Moreover, Paul has been vocal about wanting to rectify his defeat against Fury, asserting that the British fighter has been dodging a rematch to clear a path for Tyson. A potential rematch may encounter significant pushback from fans, considering the uproar generated by their first encounter earlier this year. The boxing community is increasingly apprehensive about Tyson's health, particularly after he was forced to postpone the fight due to medical concerns. In the meantime, Jake Paul revealed that his mother is feeling extremely extremely anxious about his impending match against Mike Tyson. Her fears have been heightened after seeing Tyson's fierce training videos. When the announcement of their fight was made back in March, it sparked considerable debate within the boxing world. Many observers, including a mix of active and retired fighters, voiced their apprehensions regarding the considerable age gap between the two rivals. The YouTuber-turned-boxer was forced to delay his scheduled bout in July due to a flare-up of an ulcer. However, he has since returned to training, and both competitors are now gearing up for their confrontation set for mid-November. Skepticism surrounding the fight remains rampant, with some former fighters calling it a scam, while others contend that the match may never actually happen. According to Jake, his mother, Pam Stepnick, would prefer that he not fight Iron Mike. At a PFL media scrum, the social media celebrity assured reporters, "My family will definitely be there. My mom is very scared, actually. She keeps on asking me if I'm ready, asking my team if I'm ready, and she's not liking this one. Mike just looks scary and big. His Instagram videos look crazy, so she's like watching all of that and just not liking it." Despite his family's growing apprehension regarding his impending fight with Mike, Jake has maintained a steadfast sense of confidence throughout his training. He has repeatedly expressed his belief that he won't just win, but will do so in a way that opens up exciting new possibilities for him. The WBA has suggested that the 27-year-old could be in line to battle former world champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. for a title in the near future. However, Jake still has an obligation with the PFL that he must fulfill. Jake Paul is projected to rake in $40 million from his upcoming bout with Tyson, which will elevate his total earnings in boxing to around $100 million. This remarkable feat highlights the incredible journey of a YouTuber who transitioned into a professional boxing career just 4 years ago. "Not bad at all, man. I can't believe it," Paul added of his career earnings. He further added, "I've already exceeded all my own expectations in life and boxing and everything. So whatever happens next is just gravy, and I'm just having fun with it and trying to inspire other kids because I'm literally from Ohio. Middle of this town, grew up with a blue-collar family and didn't know what any of this world was. And so it really shows, like, if you want to do something, you just gotta go for it." In a discussion with actor Russell Crowe, Joe Rogan expressed his uncertainty about the potential matchup between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. As concerns mount about Tyson's decision to return to the ring at nearly 60 years old, Rogan reflected on the implications of this highly anticipated bout. In a recent podcast episode, Rogan shared his thoughts on turning 58, emphasizing that age is simply age, no matter the treatments or enhancements one might pursue. Yet, he made it clear that Mike Tyson, at 58, is far from your average neighbor like Mike Jones from down the street. Tyson, he asserted, is in a league of his own, capable of delivering a punch powerful enough to send someone reeling into another realm. Originally scheduled for July, the fight had to be postponed when Tyson was forced to withdraw due to a medical emergency. Now cleared for action, the boxing icon and former heavyweight champion is training hard for his return to the ring. After Tyson's exit from the matchup, Paul stepped in to face Mike Perry, triumphing over the BKFC star in the 6th round.
But 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not 50-year-old Mike Jones that lives down the street. It's a different kind of human being. He still can knock your head into another dimension if he can catch you. The thing is, can he catch a 28-year-old guy who's at the top of his career, who's winning legitimate boxing matches?
Joe Rogan, a longtime UFC analyst, asserts that Jake Paul is a boxer who deserves more recognition. He pointed out the critical questions surrounding a potential matchup. Can Tyson, at his age, effectively contend with a 28-year-old fighter at the height of his career who is currently securing notable victories? Rogan highlighted Paul's impressive record, which includes victories over former UFC champions like Tyron Woodley, a competitive bout against legitimate boxer Tommy Fury, and a recent win against Mike Perry, a bare-knuckle champion.
He's beating former UFC world champions like Tyron Woodley. You know, he had that very good fight with Tommy Fury, who's a legitimate boxer.
He underscored that Jake Paul is a genuine fighter with demonstrated skills, suggesting that if Paul and Tyson were to face each other, predicting the outcome would be challenging, especially if Tyson struggles to land a hit. In addition, Russell Crowe expressed his views on the highly anticipated showdown between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Crowe revealed that he feels a genuine sense of intimidation when considering Tyson's skills as a fighter. Having portrayed heavyweight champion James J. Braddock in the acclaimed film Cinderella Man, Russell shared his concerns regarding Tyson's choice to step back into the ring, stating,
"Can he do that? I don't know if he can do that. I mean, he had to pull out of the first fight because he had an ulcer."
Right.
So it's, you know.
The thing is, I was quite enjoying the second phase of Mike's life. You know what I mean? You know, he was terrifying.
The upcoming clash between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson has drawn criticism from both fans and experts, with a significant portion of the discourse focusing on the 30-year age difference, which many feel unfairly favors Paul. However, Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion and Tyson's training partner for his bout against Tyson Fury, asserts that at 58, Tyson still possesses the skills necessary to defeat Paul. Before his battle with Renan Ferreira at the PFL Media Day, Ngannou said, "I think Tyson will still beat his ass up. He's definitely not as good as he was when he was young, but when he moves around you and shows you something, you're like, what the hell is this?" When the conversation shifts to the most formidable fighter in history, Mike Tyson's name stands out prominently, despite his transformation into a more relaxed personality. Over the years, there's an undeniable intensity about him that can still unsettle those around him, even as he approaches his late 50s. Tyson is preparing for an upcoming match against Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned boxer, igniting a wave of excitement in the media. Veteran UFC commentator Joe Rogan is staunchly in Tyson's corner, though a respected UFC legend has raised some concerns about the outcome. The event has sparked significant interest, with Joe Rogan sharing his thoughts on the matter. Now, Chael Sonnen has joined the conversation, challenging Rogan's predictions and igniting further discussion around the matchup. As a passionate advocate for combat sports, Joe Rogan has openly declared his love for boxing while championing the UFC during an ESPN interview. Given his extensive background, he is well qualified to discuss the matchup between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Nevertheless, Rogan's prediction of the nearly 60-year-old Iron Mike Tyson emerging victorious has led Chael Sonnen to question the rationale behind his choice. Chael Sonnen said on his YouTube channel, "Joe Rogan does make a statement. He says Mike Tyson, even at 57 years old, will still knock your head into the third realm. I don't know what evidence Joe has of that. That seems very lofty." Similar to Dana White, Joe Rogan believes that Mike Tyson still possesses a puncher's chance, crediting his lasting power in the ring. In contrast, Chael Sonnen contends that such claims are merely conjecture without any scientific backing. The thread is in the belief that just one punch and the last thing to go is their power. There's no scientific proof that the last thing to go within a fighter's skill set is his power. He added, "There is nothing quantifiable. That is just an expression that is put out." As concerns mount from personalities such as Chael Sonnen regarding Mike Tyson's chances in a match against Jake Paul, the boxing icon seems to have hit a breaking point. In a strong rebuttal, Tyson has delivered a sharp message to skeptics doubting his capacity to triumph over the YouTube sensation-turned-boxer. At a recent press conference, Mike Tyson showed clear frustration when reporters pressed him about his health. Yet, he seized the moment to convey a strong message to his detractors during his guest appearance on Logan Paul's podcast. Impulsive, Tyson referred to Paul as a killer and confidently asserted his belief in his own strength and resilience. He issued a challenge to anyone who doubts his determination, inviting them to confront him face-to-face and express their concerns directly. "If you think I'm too old for this fight, you need to come and tell me in my face," said Mike Tyson while giving a death stare to one of the cameras. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as though the boxing icon was on the verge of losing his cool. However, the atmosphere shifted, and the podcast concluded with everyone smiling. Nevertheless, it's hard to shake the unsettling feeling of seeing Tyson in such an aggressive mood. Coach Robert Garcia, known for mentoring two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua and currently training pound-for-pound sensation Jesse Rodriguez, expressed to ES News that the notion of Tyson landing one of his trademark highlight reel knockouts is preposterous. He said, "There's no way. It's like people saying Mike Tyson's gonna go out and knock Jake Paul out. Mike Tyson lost 20 years ago to bums. He lost in real fights to bums maybe more than 20 years ago because he's 60. Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.